Hi everyone, my name is Jimmy, and today I'll be taking us through postmodernism as a concept in jurisprudence. So to understand postmodernism, we shall need first understand what modernism is. And modernism is basically a transition from the tradition to a modern way of handling things. And this is a period that was characterized by industrialization and so many other things. So postmodernism came up in the 20th century, and basically postmodernism was trying to come and challenge the ideas of modernism and the tradition. So to define postmodernism, it may be viewed in two broad categories, that is to say historical period and as an attitude. So as a historical period, it was characterized by a rapid evolution, spread of mass media, computers, and other communicative devices. It is important to note that postmodernism has been defined as a period that came after the modernist period, and the modernist period characterized by industrialization, advances in science and technology, and the development of the national state. So to look at postmodernism as an attitude, postmodernism reflects the ideas that emerged in the early 1970s as a reaction or a rejection to the dogma and principles of established modernism. Key to note is that postmodernist jurisprudence is the school of law that counters the modernist theory by suggesting that there is no way outside form and calling for a need to restore form and material in legal thought. Postmodernism is an attempt that tries to restore what modernism had done. That is to say, modernism had torn down the structures of society, a rage against the existing order. The age of modernism stands for a period where philosophy, literature, and architecture, etc., took on limitless form and material in pursuit of functions such that society only adopted that which works for it. Every society to adopt what works for it, not having one general philosophy of handling things. Every society should have its own, not what works for Uganda will work for any other country. That means every society should adopt what works for it best. So, and as such, modernism was a period of industrialization, market-oriented capitalism, democracy, and enlightenment. So, in contrast, therefore, postmodernism seeks to restore form, to suggest that philosophy, in this case it is the legal philosophy, it can't just take on any form, but rather must be within established form. So the postmodernists suggest that there are certain things that matter and not just progress or results. The postmodernists therefore suggest that there are certain boundaries that must not be crossed even in the name of progress while establishing legal systems. Hence, the study of legal philosophy must shift from the study of legal systems to the study of legal subject, so as to focus on the internal perspective rather than the critical perspective that employs ideology. Ideological critique reflect on our international experience of law. So in key to note are the theorists under postmodernism, and the theorists therein we have Friedrich Nietzsche, we have Heidegger, we have Derrida, Rotard, and many others, and they criticize the traditional culture, theory, and politics. So the tenets of postmodern school are basically four, and one of them is the subject of the law. And when we look at the subject of the law, the term subject of the law is used by the postmodern scholars to refer to the participation of the legal system. That means the litigant, the judge, or the legal practitioner. Postmodern scholars propose that jurisprudential study should focus on the legal participant who interprets the law rather than the content of the law being interpreted. And according to postmodern scholars, the subject is socially constructed, and to understand the direction of law, it's important to understand the social makeup of this subject. According to one One writer, that is J.M. Balkin, the law is always subjected to certain standards for it to be accepted. There must be standards of the law. It will not just come up and then you think it will just have acceptance. It must have certain standards which society will have to scrutinize and see if they really adhere to that law. So we shall proceed trying to internalize what J.M. Balkin was saying, that the subject that law is always subjected to certain standards for it to be accepted or deemed coherent. And this is what he refers to as a rational reconstruction of the law. So this one simply means that the law has a purpose and must answer a certain need faced by the legal subject. The second tenet is what we call the legal pluralism. Postmodernism jurisprudence suggests that the state should take a back seat and that the law should be autonomous in managing social relations, such that whichever mode of social regulation can stand alongside the enacted or legislated rules, or even replace them. Hence, other institutions should be able to create laws or even norms and customs. For example, institutions such as churches, traditional, cultural institutions, the family, etc. should also be given chance to legislate and make laws, not only leaving it to the state, because the state cannot think of what is going to be accepted by all these institutions. So postmodernism advocates for legal pluralism. Not only the state should make laws, let other institutions also come up and make laws. That is legal pluralism. And in the Ugandan context, Justice Mubiru, in the case of Magibwe versus MT in Uganda, clearly said it that the law is not only left to the legislature to be made. Other institutions can also make laws. We shall proceed and still to understand this concept of legal pluralism. This postmodernist theory suggests that the state must be ignored as an absent entity in matters of social regulation and control. So this calls for the decentering of the state, since its role is more problematic due to a high level of bureaucracy and centralization of power by the state than are useful, such that its absence would be a very good idea that would be welcomed. Thirdly, the third tenet is what we refer to as legal semiotics. Semiotics is the science that studies the life of science within society, and it is mostly attributed to F.D. Sauger as the founder of this tenet of legal semiotics. Legal semiotics is therefore the study of the effect of the system of science regarding legal interpretation. It does not merely study the effect of language on the law, but systemizes and organizes the process of discovery in legal analysis. Furthermore, postmodernism and the state is what we can also look at and see what this is all about. So this one says that whereas the postmodernists suggest that the state has failed to bring about a social cohesion, just like Marxists hold, the postmodernists don't suggest an overhaul of the state, but rather call for a conversion of the state into an absent structure, restoring the autonomy of the law as a system of social regulation. De Souza Santos, that is Santos, notes that the state has become more problematic and that its absence is more required. This would mean that an interaction of both state and non-state actors for social regulation is so paramount, and the absence of the state as the post-modernist approach suggests would lead to restoring or resorting to alternative dispute resolution, the one we refer to as the ADR, and the decentralization of government. So postmodernism and the concept of rights is another concept we are looking at under the legal semiotics. Postmodernism aims at exposing master narratives and uplifting the minority narratives. The fourth tenet is what we call subversion under postmodernism. This one basically represents suppressed narratives and aims at undermining masters or the dominant narratives. So this one basically advocates for equality. This can be traced from Article 21, which says everyone shall be equal before the law. And then we also look at the case of Best Kemigisha versus Mob Kamuntari, where before women were not allowed to inherit property, neither would they make wills. But then in this case, it was held that women can also inherit property. So that one is in satisfaction of the fourth tenet, which is subversion under postmodernism. Here we are basically looking at the minorities being uplifted, and then those dominant people also trying to bring them down, so that we try to bring up equality. Yes, so basically those are the four tenets under postmodernism. For more, we can still try to look at the Lloyds, and we'll try to understand more about postmodernism, or we can look at comprehensive jurisprudence.